Labour would rather pay Brussels indefinitely than walk away without a deal, the shadow Brexit secretary said yesterday. Sir Keir Starmer confirmed that the party would always negotiate with the EU, no matter how punishing the bloc's terms are. And, for the first time, he suggested that Labour would be willing to give Europe billions a year after Brexit to secure access to the single market. Asked if Labour would be prepared to continue paying into the EU budget forever, he told ITV's Peston on Sunday, "We'll have to see, subject to negotiations, obviously, ideally no, or keep it low, but in the end, it's a very simple thing. If economically it's better off to have an arrangement that works for our businesses and secures our economy, then we'd do it. I mean, anybody who says, I would rather have an arrangement that actually damages our business, needs to think again about why they're negotiating." Sir Keir also said it was time for Theresa May to abandon her red lines, such as that Britain should leave the European Court of Justice. But former Tory Cabinet Minister John Redwood last night said it would be crazy to pay the EU for access to a market that sells more to the UK than we sell to them. He said, "I am flabbergasted that Labour would want to give our money to rich countries on the continent rather than spending it on our own priorities. I don't think it is even legal under world trade rules to offer bribes in return for trade. We are the customer more than we are the supplier in our trading with the EU, why would we want to pay for that?" Meanwhile, Shadow Chancellor John McDonnell said Labour would join forces with die-hard Tory Remainers to block any attempt to leave the EU without a deal. Mr. McDonnell said he was not willing to countenance no deal, adding, "I don't think there's a majority in the House of Commons for no deal." 10 pro-Remain Tory MPs are publicly backing a cross-party amendment to the EU withdrawal bill that would force ministers to enshrine the Brexit deal in a separate Act of Parliament. This would allow Remainers to vote down any final deal. The move would undermine Mrs May's negotiating strategy by removing the option of walking away if Brussels tries to punish the UK. Brexiteer Tory Sula Fernandez said it was clear that Labour would accept any Brexit deal at any cost to ordinary working families. She added, "This proves that Labour would be prepared to see the UK at the EU's beck and call for years to come, which is not what people voted for last June." And Transport Secretary Chris Grayling said MPs would plunge the UK into legal chaos if they voted down the null agreement. Describing the plan as complete nonsense, he added, "What the withdrawal bill does is it ensures a smooth transition for our laws so that people can be certain that the law that applies the day before is the law that applies the day after." John McDonnell threatening to derail this bill is John McDonnell threatening to create the kind of chaotic Brexit he himself is warning against.